In the original book that was published in 1868, Laurie is both foreign and androgynous. This is Laurie's description from Little Woman. Laurie has brown skin, curly black hair, a long nose, nice teeth, and little hands and feet. He is the same size as Jo, making him equal to her. When he asks Jo to dance, he makes a little French bow. For the 1880 edition of Little Woman, Louisa May Alcott's publisher demanded she made changes to the books. Little Woman was a huge hit and publishers want to make money. Now all of Laurie's foreign features were removed because they were not suitable for a romantic suitor. He became more handsome with no mention of the color of his skin, and he becomes taller than Jo, making him superior to her. The problem with these changes was that Louisa May Alcott herself never meant Laurie to be a romantic suitor for Jo. Quoting her own words, when she created Laurie, she gave her alter ego a brother that she never had. It is the 1880 version with a more, quote, masculine Laurie that is familiar to most people. This description of him remained in the books for nearly 100 years. When I read Little Woman as a child, my Finnish version did not have any mention of Laurie being androgynous, neither there was any mention of his skin color. The translation I read had been made in the 1920s. The last Finnish translation of Little Woman appeared in 2012, so that is when Finnish readers got to read the original description of Laurie for the first time. Little Woman has been translated into more than 50 languages. Many translations, especially the older ones, are abridged, and entire chapters can be missing. Another very important part of Laurie is that he has androgynous looks. In the famous and beloved 1933 film version of Little Woman, Douglas Montgomery plays Laurie, and he has very androgynous looks. He has quite feminine and soft features. Katharine Hepburn's Jo is close to the book Jo. She is tall with androgynous looks, and she has sharp features and a strong way to carry herself. Little Woman is a semi-biographical novel, and Jo's character is loosely based on Louisa May Alcott herself. She was a tomboy and not traditionally feminine. When it comes to Little Woman adaptations, they are model examples of adaptive attractiveness. Adaptive attractiveness refers to the way Hollywood changes the appearance of a book character, who in the story is described as anything from old to ugly, from androgynous to plain-looking, is played by an attractive actor in a film version. As we learned, the adaptive attractiveness of Laurie already started in the 19th century, in the revampings of the book. In films and TV adaptations, Jo, Laurie, and Friedrich all go through adaptive attractiveness. This does not mean that beautiful actor cannot play a character or that we should stop watching these movies. Some of them are the best adaptations of Little Woman. The reason for this is the same as with Louisa May Alcott's publisher changing Laurie's looks to make money. Studios invest a great deal of money in films, and the best way to make profit and get viewers is to hire attractive actors. However, there are lots of problems with adaptive attractiveness, especially in Little Woman. Louisa May Alcott's original description of the three characters, Jo, Laurie, and Friedrich, are a big part of the narrative. Adaptive attractiveness is a deeply rooted idea in our culture, starting from fairy tales, which follow the Hollywood narrative that love only belongs to the young and attractive. When Little Woman appeared, it became a massive hit, and it made Louisa May Alcott a billionaire. When young girls came to visit her, they often left disappointed because they were expecting to see young and beautiful Jo March. Instead, they saw Louisa, who was rather plain-looking. Sometimes she even opened the door dressed up as a maid, and she said to the young fans of Jo March that Miss Alcott was not at home. An effective way to get rid of fans. Jo is not written to be beautiful, so why did these readers think that Louisa was beautiful? I have no idea. Here's a quote from Little Woman fan Jimena Scott. Louisa describes Laurie as curly black hair, brown skin, big black eyes, handsome nose, fine teeth, small hands and feet, taller than Jo. Yet in all adaptations, except the 80s anime, Laurie has been represented as a white character. It doesn't surprise me that up until the 70s that was the case. However, the 2017 miniseries, the 2018 modern adaptation, and the 2019 movie make the same mistake. They whitewashed Laurie. I am conflicted in using the word mistake, cause that implies that they honestly didn't know, but since they swear they love the book, then it seems more of a conscious decision. To me, it was very worrying that almost no one discussed this in the media during the 2019 press tour. But the brown-skinned Laurie is not just about sticking to Louisa's description of the character. It goes much deeper. It is a matter of representation. One problem that period drama set in Europe or the United States has is that there is little diversity, which makes sense because they were slaving black people and discriminating against everyone who wasn't white and Christian. If today a show wants to add more variety to their cast, they normally have to raise band characters or create a fantasy world like Bridgerton. Thank you so much for sharing my love for Little Woman. All the transcriptions of the Little Woman podcast are now available as paperbacks, ebooks, and as audiobooks on Amazon, Kindle, Nook, and bookstores. You can find all the links from the description. And now, back to the show. That all people of color get to play the servants, or the poor people, or the foreigners who appear in the background. Yet here we have an 1868 book set in the Civil War that features a brown-skinned character. And it is not just a side character. He is prominent, he is part of the main characters. He has an arc as important as the main white family. The fact that Laurie is brown-skinned plays into his identity issues. Just because the North was against slavery doesn't mean that they weren't deeply racist. Bronson Alcott got into a lot of trouble for offering education to white and black children in the same classroom. For all the praise that Greta Gerwig's movie got, I am surprised very few people called her for including only a couple of black characters. There was one lady who barely had a line and another one at Meg's wedding who is there just for background. That is tokenism. Even the modern adaptation, which should have had no problem getting a diverse cast, chose to cast Luca Scarpino. Then there is the matter of his Italian heritage. A couple of times Laurie thinks about his Italian heritage, and not in a good light. His mother must have been the one who passed him his skin color. When he is in Valrosa with Amy, he thinks his Italian side brings out the superstition aspect in him. Italians have always had a negative stereotype in Western Europe and the United States. I don't know how difficult it must have been for Laurie to hear all these negative comments that attack his mother. This will also serve the discussion of immigrants in the 19th century America alongside Friedrich's character. Moreover, Italy is also a prominent Catholic country. A few articles I have read say that Protestant America rejected Catholicism, even to the point of forbidding it. Let's remember Aunt March's French Catholic maid, who changed her name from Estelle to Esther so that it would sound more American. This is under the condition that the old lady wouldn't ask her to change religion. Even with all of these issues, he is in possession of power. He is the heir to one of Concord's biggest fortunes. He gets to go to college. He is destined to run one of the greatest companies in Massachusetts. Amy even teased him because Fred was richer than him, like it was something that didn't happen often. So his wealth must have been pretty big. Returning to the March family, it will also serve to prove with their actions how anti-racism they were, not just anti-slavery. They included this boy as part of their family almost instantly. He becomes Joe's best friend and Amy's husband. It is in the book that a lot of mothers look at him as an attractive suitor for their daughters, but I am sure some other inhabitants look down on him for being Italian and brown-skinned. So, my point is, representation matters. Imagine how much this would mean for brown-skinned boys, mixed-race boys, and parents of those kids to see this character properly cast. I am curious how many people knew that Laurie is supposed to be brown-skinned. End quote. Laurie in the book is a complex character with both good and bad qualities. He is an orphan living together with his distant grandfather. Laurie was an aspiring pianist. He had no problems becoming best friends with the 4 girls next door. He put snow on Meg's ankle, saved Amy from drowning, and was Joe's BFF. That is what we usually see in the movies. But in the books, Laurie is a much more complicated character. Louisa was ahead of her time. She refused to impose any gender stereotypes on any of her characters. In the 19th century context, Laurie and his love for music can be seen as a more effeminate trait. Even the way he is lonely in the big old mansion follows the narrative of the 19th century, when young women were domesticated and shut down from social life. In one of my favorite chapters in Little Woman, Camp Lawrence, Laurie is compared to a colt, a gun that can go off at any given minute. Colt also refers to an untamed horse. At the beginning of Little Woman, Joe is also referred to a colt. In many ways, the 1933 film is loyal to the books, but it shows the characters throughout the 1930s lens. This happens with every Little Woman film. They are always bound to their time. Both Jo and Laurie tend to lack the aggressive outburst they have in the books. He has a bit of a temper in the 1933 film and in the 1949 version. In the 1949 version, Laurie, played by Peter Lawford, is one of the more idealized Laurie. He has run away from school, lied his age to get into the army, where he got wounded, but we cannot see any wounds. He is also extremely kind and charming. The film does not show Laurie's and Amy's time together in Europe at all. Little Woman fan Dana Parra has criticized Laurie's casting choices. I think another issue I have with Gerwig's film, and any film with fans that do this, is how the cast is put upon a pedestal. There are fans of the fandom, and there are fans of the actors and the director. I feel that Gerwig's film suffers from fans that love either her or her work or the cast and know little about the original story. And I feel Laurie is a prime example of having fans that love his actor and not the original character. Timothée Chalamet is a popular upcoming actor. I haven't seen him in much, so I couldn't tell you how good or of an actor he is, but I know he has a fan base, and I know that fan base saw Little Woman for him, not just because they wanted to see the movie, and we all do that with our favorite actors. When Joe refuses Laurie, because of this fan base, you have to wonder, are they mad that Joe didn't end up with Laurie, or are they mad that Joe refused Timothée Chalamet? Because that is a huge difference, and those are the fans that don't care about the original story. They are just mad that their favorite didn't get what they wanted. You could say the same with Peter Lawford too, and Christian Bale. because you know that the studios are going to try to put some heartthrob into the role of Laurie to appeal to the love story or to make the movie into more of a love story than a coming-of-age movie.